Okay, welcome everybody to tasting number 209 of the Saratoga Whiskey Club. 3 weeks in a row now. We just keep busting them out. So we will be taking a little bit of a break. I'm leaving next Wednesday on a 2-week trip. So the next tasting actually is going to be July 22nd. It's actually a Calumet brand tasting, so bourbon and rye. We'll probably have a couple of special bottles from them, so that should be fun. That's right when the horse season starts up here, so that'll match perfectly. And then we have our track tasting at some point before the season ends, which will be on a Sunday, and then we'll do some other online tastings as well. Not sure when the next A to Z will be. I'll figure that out. I haven't really thought through the second half of the year yet too much. But for those, I think Alan and Daniel are new to the Scotland A to Z tastings. So just a little bit of background on this. It's I was on a trip a few years ago with a gentleman from San Francisco who has a small group of whiskey friends. And during COVID, they decided to do Zoom tastings and go through all of the distilleries in Scotland. Now, their people were all over the country. It was like just a handful of them, but they were friends and they were all over. So the person in San Francisco would select some pretty special bottles. He sent me the list. Some were very expensive bottles, and he would divvy them up and send them out to everybody. And I think it was like once or twice a month they would get online and start going through it. So it gave me the idea of doing Scotland A to Z tasting with the Saratoga Whiskey Club. And we are actually doing tasting number 10 tonight. So that means we'll be done with 60 distilleries, which is not even halfway. And it's taking a good while because we do, I think it's like 4 or 5 a year. So it's going to take a few years still to go. But it's a journey and it's been a lot of fun. And the way that we kind of work through this is some of these bottles are bottles that I've actually collected on my trips or bought on trips. And the others are mostly bottles that I've had shipped over from the UK. None of these are really bottles that we have here in the US. That's what kind of makes this a special tasting. We could go through these distilleries and taste basic core expressions, but what fun would that be? Let's just go big and try some fun bottles. So that's kind of the concept behind Scotland A to Z. We do with this tasting get into the G's. The G's, there's a lot of G's in Scotland, so a lot of Glens. So once we get to GL, we're going to be in the GL world for a while. But that'll be fun too. But one of the things that I do on this tasting is I talk a little bit about the distillery, so a little bit of history. And then I have a short video of each of these distilleries as well. I think it's fun to kind of get a sense of what they look like, if they even exist anymore. And the videos do a pretty decent job with that. So to get started, we are wrapping up with the D's. So it took us a while, 10 tastings to finish the D's. That just tells you how many distilleries there are in Scotland. But we're starting with a pretty interesting and special bottle. So Dumbarton. I'll talk about the bottle first, and then I'll talk about the history, and then I'll play the video so we can actually start sipping these. But this is from an independent bottler called Infrequent Flyers. We've had a number of these Infrequent Flyers bottlings. They're not in the US. This is one of those independent bottlers. that has not made it to the US yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they do come, though, eventually. This is so Dumbarton is actually a grain distillery. They're not a malt distillery, even though I think at one point they were making malt, but mostly grain. They're a corn-based grain distillery. And they are in the lowlands of Scotland, which is where most of the grain distilleries are located or were located. This is a distillery that is no longer around. So this is a closed distillery. I'll read about that here in a second. But this is a 26-year-old single grain Scotch that is it's a Pedro Jimenez puncheon, so that's why it's so dark. It's got that PX sherry color to it, and probably has quite a few notes from that. It says cask type Pedro Jimenez puncheon, and then it says style Pedro Jimenez finish. I don't think that it was double matured, but yeah, it doesn't say on here. But this one's 53.8%. This was distilled in 1997. So we're going back to the 20th century.
My freshman year in college.
There were only 677 bottles of this. And we're getting to try one of these. So cheers, everybody. Here's to Dumbarton. I'll talk about them history-wise. I would expect this to be sweet, because it's grain, like corn, like bourbon, but then it's also PX sherry, so it's probably like sweet on sweet.
Like too sweet. Give me the water.
Ooh, that's pretty good. All right, so let me read a little bit about Dumbarton. It's actually a kind of interesting history. So in 1936, the Canadian distiller Hiram Walker purchased Ballantyne and Sons. We've all heard of Ballantyne's, giving it sizable stocks of mature whiskey and an established brand, but no distilleries.
Okay.
It had acquired Glenbergie in 1930 and also bought Milton Duff in 1936, but it didn't have a reliable source of grain whiskey, which is needed for making blended Scotch like Ballantyne's. So the following year, it established Hiram Walker Scotland to oversee Scottish operations, as well as build a new grain and malt distillery complex in the old shipyard on the banks of the River Leven, which was to act as the group's headquarters. At the time Dumbarton began distilling in 1938, it was the largest continuous distillery in Scotland producing grain whiskey.
Then I looked again.
So very big, because there were some pretty large grain distilleries at the time as well. It was also the first to challenge the supremacy of the coffee still by installing American-style stainless steel columns built by Vulcan Copper and Supply Company of Cincinnati. So they actually were putting in American-made copper or column stills, which is pretty wild. The continuous distilling unit had the ability to produce both potable grain spirit as well as neutral grain spirit, but could only process maize or corn. While Dumbarton was producing grain whiskey for Ballantyne's, Inverleven, which opened in the same year, again on the banks of the River Leven, began producing malt whiskey. So you had your grain distillery with Dumbarton, and you had your malt distillery with Inverleven. In 1956, a third Lomond still was added with an attached rectification column designed to produce different styles of spirit. Let's see here. I don't want to get too crazy. But when they did, this is kind of cool. When they did decommission they had a separate distillery called Lomond. When they decommissioned in 1985, it was salvaged by Bruichladdich. So when you go visit Bruichladdich, you actually see the original still that was used at the Lomond still, which was our Lomond distillery, which was a part of this whole Dumbarton, Inverleven, Lomond group. And that's what they make Botanist gin with. And Botanist gin is a fantastic gin. So in 1988, Hiram Walker was sold to Allied Lyons, and so Dumbarton fell for the first time under British ownership. 3 years later, Allied mothballed the Inverleven distillery, and in 2002, Dumbarton itself followed suit. The buildings have since been demolished to make way for a new housing development, including the site's long-standing iconic red tower. Let's see here. Oh, this is kind of cool. I'll read this one little bit and then I'll show this video. No record of Dumbarton's history would be complete without mention of the Scotch Watch, a 100-strong gaggle of Chinese white geese introduced by Hiram Walker in 1959 to protect Dumbarton's whiskey stocks from intruders. The birds became something of a tourist attraction and were even used to advertise the Ballantine's blend. When Dumbarton finally closed in 2002, the geese stayed put, though 10 years later, the remaining 7 birds were finally retired and sent to live with an existing flock at Glasgow Green. So that's kind of fun, kind of crazy. All right. I always love these weird stories. They actually got Chinese geese to guard their whiskey stocks. All right. So I'm going to share this. It's a very short video because there's really nothing to see anymore. But this guy actually goes and shows Inverleven. He shows Dumbarton and something else. But give it a second. It might take a little bit to buffer. So again, just think about this. Dumbarton closed in 2002. So this was distilled in 1997. So 5 years before they closed, which is kind of cool.
Almost 20, it's 29 years old.
All right,
So they doubled it.
it might take a second to buffer. Just
So Chelsea, Infrequent Flyers get the whole cask?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
but-
there's $600 by that.
yeah.
Here we are in the town of Laing.
So there's Little Mill Distillery. These are all right next to each other. It kind of gets kind of loud.
Distillery building. Yeah.
Sorry for the traffic.
Destroyed by fire, unfortunately. I think it was the early 90s. About a decade. Lots of the reopening. The single malt is still readily available. You can manage it here. I also have a 70 CL bottle. Little Mill. It's girl.
Say it's on. Is that what he said? What did he say?
I think he,
A relic just down the road from Bowling, from the Little Mill Distillery. We're in Dumbarton. That's there is Dumbarton Castle.
there's Dumbarton Castle.
Yeah. Stand from Dumbarton to go across that Boghead Park. The shipyards there.
The shipyards.
But, yeah, pan around.
So this was the old distillery. There's nothing there. That's the only remaining building. So you can see it there. The column still would have been in that tall building. So they had Inverleven and Dumbarton.
This is not as sweet as I expected. No. Not at all.
No, it's very nicely balanced.
Yeah. Like that. When it's wind, it's Scotland.
That's the Dumbarton.
No. Well, that's all there. I wonder what they're gonna do with that.
Closed captioning doesn't work.
Hey,
Oh,
you're being pushy.
He did it again. How do I turn this off?
Yeah, trying to find it.
I just-
It's good to find out again.
Click on the video, you know.
Okay, enough of the windy
Traffic.
relics of Dumbarton. I think we get an idea of maybe what it looked like. They showed that one picture. I think it was pretty good size. Yeah, I think it was actually probably a pretty cool facility in its day. And I actually think this whiskey is pretty good. This is a pretty nice.
So when they're decommissioning all these.
It's definitely for a sweet tooth. Tastes like rock candy.
Yeah.
It is like candy.
Yeah, sometimes the distills will go to other places.
Okay, I just wondered if they.
Yeah.
Some for-
Well, like the Lomond still went to Bruichladdich, which is pretty awesome, and it's a very unique looking still. It's called the Ugly Betty, actually. And
Now I remember. It came through the room. It was sitting there by itself.
yeah, it was kind of on the right side when you went through. Yeah, yeah. I think the PX works nicely though with this. With grain whiskeys, the longer they mature, the better they do really get. And 26 years is still a little on the young side for a grain whiskey. Some of them, you can mature 30, 40 years easily. And they're beautiful.
That's some serious patience. You're like, I'm gonna put this in this barrel and I'll see.
Charles, why would that differ from bourbon? Which,
Well, yeah.
if-
Bourbon is going to be in a new charred cask for one. These are all going to be in used barrels.
Okay, so less oaky, less fast.
Much less oaky, and then also climate. Just think about Scotland and the Angel Share. You can have whiskey sit there for a long period of time without it getting too oaky. And I'm sure this PX cask wasn't too fresh when they used it. It probably maybe it was even second fill. It wasn't a first fill cask, because that would have been really a lot of PX. So you can definitely still taste the corn on this. The PX isn't hiding the grain, which tells me that it is a second fill. Now it's dark, but that's also because it's 26 years old. So, all right, everybody good with Dumbarton?
Yeah.
Oh, what happened to Stefan?
He's in Dumbarton.
Yeah,
Making videos.
he made a wrong turn. Okay, we're going to move on. So we're moving on to a distillery that I really don't know much about. It's fairly young. It is obviously something that they're playing off of the crazy golf fanatics at St. Andrews. But I'll read a little bit about the distillery first before I talk about this whiskey, because it might make more sense to kind of understand what they're trying to do there before we taste this whiskey. But so Eden Mills, it's called Eden Mills St. Andrews. So it actually has St. Andrews in the name. Are independent distillers based in Guardbridge, Scotland, about 3 miles northwest of St. Andrews. The distillery is located on a 38-acre site known as the Eden Campus, which is owned by the University of St. Andrews. Brewing began in 2012, so they make beer as well. Eden Mill became Scotland's first combined distillery and brewery in 2014, when they started distilling Scotch whiskey and gin in 2014. Eden Mill is no longer classed as a brewery as beer production ceased in 2018, but the company continues to distill and sell both the gin and whiskey. The site of the distillery is on the banks of the Eden estuary and has had a long history of distilling and brewing. For most of the 19th century, the Haig family, some of you have heard of Haig whiskey, operated a whiskey distillery here. In 1860, they started distilling whiskey elsewhere in Fife, Fifo, and the site subsequently became Paper Mill, which operated for several decades before closing in 2008. Eden Mill St. Andrews was founded in 2012. In 2021, the company was purchased by Inverleith, who are now the majority shareholder. The primary objective behind this sale was to provide sufficient investment to complete the construction of a new distillery on the same site as the original one and to allow expansion of the business further afield in the UK, as well as in overseas markets such as the US. In December of 2025, so just last December, it was announced Eden Mill had been acquired by the Scottish entrepreneur Tony Banks through his investment firm Ruby Capital for an undisclosed amount. The acquisition includes the distillery's leasehold interest, brand, stock equipment, and IP. In 2022, Eden Mill received planning permission for their new distillery. Construction commenced in 2023, and it is due to become operational in early 2025. The new distillery will produce just over 1 million liters of new make spirit per year, which is pretty large, providing a significant increase in capacity compared to their original site. Distillation of both gin and whiskey will continue in the new premise. So we hear that they started in 2012. However, they're building a new distillery now. What we are tasting, though, is part of their small batch release. It's from 2022. So this is obviously from their old, distillery. This is part of their Cask Mastery series. So they did this. They were trying to show, how different casks obviously influence the whiskey. This is only 272 bottles of this specific one. I had this one shipped over from the UK. This is not something that we see in the US.
Well, thank you.
We don't see Eden Mill.
I got to do it on mine.
But this is 56.8% ABV. And it is a Madeira cask. So Madeira is, that island off of Portugal where they make that fortified wine called Madeira.
I don't mind it.
Want me to get the squeezed up? That'd probably be good for both of us. There we go.
Yeah. The rest of the finish is,
Got it.
yeah, that's hitting the wrong note. Oh, goodness. Shit.
It's very spiced.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think Brazil looks to be vulnerable. They can get beat.
Yeah, there's an interesting kind of
I actually got him in that last shot.
I don't know what the quality is.
Medicinal almost?
There's a little medicinal quality to this. It is it does taste quite young.
Yeah.
There is no age statement on this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm tasting almost new make. Yeah. There's
When you smell the nose, I'm getting like a.
It's not as big as I can break.
There's almost like a grassy note too.
When I'm comparing it to,
Which reminds me of a very young kind of whiskey.
Yeah, right.
yeah, well,
That might be part of that. But I'm also thinking, given the way the Scots drank Boston Dry, they should go back to.
It gets better as you sip it, but it's not a remarkable whiskey, in my opinion. That's kind of the challenge with the Scotland A to Z. Sometimes you're guessing on what you should try to taste. that will be a good representation of what they're doing. And I don't know, this one still tastes quite young to me. All right, let's watch a little video on just what they're doing there so you get a sense for that. Okay, here's Eden Mill.
Wow, that's cool.
Let me just open this up here. Come on.
So much of Saratoga is there. It's in the area.
Hold on a second. All right, here we go.
It's in the stone. Carved reminders of our storied past. Crests, castles, and cathedral ruins share these old streets with one of the world's first universities. St. Andrews. Old passions live on here through centuries of tradition. For these hallowed grounds are also the home of golf. Born on this
Got
very
potential, but it needs to be in the cask a lot longer.
Hmm?
I think it's got potential, but it needs to be in the cask a lot longer.
Yeah. This is also our home. Even now. Distilling is our passion. An ancient art that's in our blood. Over 2 centuries ago, the Hague family distilled on this land. Like our ancestors, we source local barley and carefully handpick our wooden casks. This is craft distilling. A mysterious alchemy of environment, process, and hard work. Every drop is steeped in history, yet respectfully progressive. There's something in all of us that belongs here. A stubborn sense of place. The spirit of St. Andrews.
It's interesting that they started a brewery and it failed.
Okay, that was Eden Mill. So, I mean, my thought with this is obviously it's still young. They've got the new distillery that's just opening or just opened last year. Obviously, they're playing off of tourism in a big way. I did see a video as well where they have a cask ownership program. So they're really, you know, playing into investing in the future, you know, and probably I did remember seeing some golfers being associated with that
I'm
too.
buying a cask.
So
And if I'm buying a cask, I know what I'm buying. Yeah, I know what you are.
I know what you're buying too there, Dennis. But yeah. That might be an expensive cask though at Glen Farkless. But yeah. Eden Mill, you know, we'll have to keep an eye on it and see what happens. It's early days, right? And I don't know if you saw in the video, there was a picture of the old still, the alembic. It was an alembic shaped still. You know, I mean, that's craft. That's true craft. Maybe that's why we're tasting what we're tasting. You know, it's not a maybe really refined spirit at this point, but maybe at some point it will be. So it wasn't an Abanderg.
No.
And it wasn't a what was the other one? The rye Arbiki or Arbiki.
Yeah.
So yeah. I love
Yeah.
it.
Things were not, I mean, we got
was looking for a coast.
All right, we're through with 2 of them.
He was almost like, "Why would you ever release this to the world? Like, what's wrong with you? Don't put this down the drink. Use it to Laing."
All right.
Oh my God, they're putting in Neymar? No way.
No, they're not.
I think they are.
No, they wouldn't do that. All right, so we're going to move on to Edradour.
One of my favorites.
Edradour is a favorite of a few people at this tasting.
He's warming up.
Another, I mean, you might buy a cask of that, Dennis. All right, so I'll talk about the whiskey first on this one because some of us already know the distillery. So about 5 years ago, or maybe it was even 6 years ago, Stefan,
Right there.
watch your step. You only missed the first two, so we've got some catching up to do. All right, about 5 years ago, maybe it was during the pandemic, I can't remember, but some group that I'm in on Facebook or one of the platforms, or somebody told me that they were selling 6 bottles or 5 bottles of Edradour, and they were being shipped over from the UK. And I was at that time just buying whiskey left and right, mostly for the whiskey club, really for the whiskey club, for our tastings and stuff. And for whatever reason, I never went through and did an Edradour tasting, like a full vertical. And so I've had these bottles sitting around for like years now. And every once in a while, I'll pull one out. Like I remember Dennis was visiting Saratoga one year, and I pulled out one of the smaller ones. And at Drams for Fams, which we had a month ago, I opened up the sherry cask, which we actually poured a little bit of tonight. Look how dark that is. But this one was another one that was in that collection of 5 or 6 bottles. And so this is a single cask from Edradour. It was distilled in 2009. It was bottled in 2019. This is a 10-year-old. There are only 298 bottles of this. It's 57.8% ABV, and it's matured in a Moscatel wine cask. So dessert wine, white dessert wine cask. And they are very, very well known for their kind of playing around with different types of wood. I think another one that I have is a Bordeaux cask. I've had a Barolo, Italian Barolo cask, which was really good one time. And obviously there's lots of different sherry casks as well. So this is a Moscatel. I have not tasted this, so I don't know what it's like.
Okay.
Even though it's been in my possession for many, many years. I will smell it. All right. Okay, so Edradour. Let's talk a little bit. All right, hold on, guys. Edradour means in Gaelic, between two rivers. It is technically a highland just north in Pitlochry. It's owned by Signatory. So some of us know Signatory as an independent bottler. They've owned it since 2002. Prior to that, it was Pernod Ricard. Let's see here. Edradour goes all the way back to 1825 when it was run by just 3 people. It was 1825. The distillery was initially part of a consortium of farmers, with Duncan Forbes being one of the key figures. Then it sold in 1933, and then in 1982 is when Pernod Ricard acquired it, and then in 2002 is when Signatory, the independent bottler, purchased Edradour. The distillery was traditionally run by 3 men. Now there are 2. 18 casks are produced each week. Very small. Now, when we were there back in 2018, which was really my only visit there because they closed during the pandemic and still have not opened to the public. They were talking about doubling in size. At the time, they were the smallest distillery in Scotland, or technically the smallest. I don't know. That's everybody says these things, and it's hard to know what's true or not. But they were going to be doubling in size, which was a big deal. So Let's see here. Anything else of interest? They have worm tubs. They're small. Actually, you'll see them in the video. They're like the old school worm tubs, really small, kind of cylindrical tubs. Let's see here. They also make a
Watch, Charles,
yeah.
make sure they show the head heights in there. Somebody bangs their head.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so when we were there, I walked into their bar area and their doorway was about right here. And it was about this thick. I mean, it was like 2 feet or a foot and a half thick. The doorway was not moving. However, my head moved and I was literally concussed. I was concussed. I haven't been concussed in a long time. But I remember having to drive to Edinburgh from there after being concussed. And that was a fun drive, let me tell you.
There's some cussing involved.
But they do also make a peated malt
I didn't slow it down.
at Edradour, which is called Balakin. And I do actually have a single cask Balakin as well, which is their peated spirit. And that's named after the former distillery at nearby Balakin, which was another town nearby. Okay. So anybody thoughts on the Moscatel before I play the video?
I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, I like it.
Benny's
I like cantaloupe with a little black pepper.
Yeah, it's got some.
Oh yeah, I get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here are the tasting notes on the back. It's kind of nice that they've put tasting notes here. Soft gold in color. The whiskey is creamy in texture and very sweet with notes of Manzuka honey and lemon drizzle cake. With water more like citrus wine gums, lemon, orange, and lime with a hint of sherbet. All right, let's play this video. You can get a sense of Edradour.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be points and then
There's no closed captions on this.
In the parking lot.
There's the worm tubs.
That's some nice.
All right, very short video. Just gave you a little sense of Edradour. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. Hopefully they do reopen at some point to the public. They also had a really great visitor center where they sold lots of really great bottles. They had signatory bottles as well. It wasn't just Edradour products. They had their independent bottlings of signatory there as well, which some of you know they have those beautiful perfume bottles, which are their fancier, nicer upper line of independent bottles. Those are really great. So that's all signatory. Yeah, this is a good whiskey.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very my favorite.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite too, even though that Dumbarton was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. It's good catching up from that. That's a good one to catch up on.
You started at the right time. Oh yes, look at that. Maybe just to
give it a few minutes. Yeah.
tear his hamstring.
Yeah. I like water. The whole thing, like the bowling around.
What do you guys online think? Thumbs up on this one? Yeah.
Thumbs up, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, this is my favorite so far too.
These weren't cheap. I paid $1,000 for the whole lot of Edradour. So
Hmm.
I don't remember. Again, it was like 6 bottles, I think. So, they were under 200 each, but it wasn't cheap. It was
That was several years ago.
this was a good 5 years ago or so.
Yeah, that bottle from Drams for Fams was fantastic. I absolutely love that one. It's super
sherry.
dark.
Super sherry, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. You get your box, Steve?
I did.
All right, good.
And I used my official First Fill Spirits Glencairn to taste them all.
Oh, nice.
They're good. Thank you.
Yeah, we missed you on that visit. All right, halfway.
Point of no return.
It's all downhill from here. I'm sorry, guys. Let me just have a cracker.
Yeah, I saw that.
Come on, Scotland.
Or something. I just drew a card out.
3-0. Yikes. We have the Scotland game on. I mean, how could you not have the game on?
But then I'm like, exactly.
Hmm.
I mean, this is
Okay.
It's okay.
All right. So
So,
we talked about how Tory has
right.
their premium line, which is the perfume bottle. So there is one perfume bottle behind Lucas, or I mean behind Jim.
Right there.
The Ardmore.
That big one. Oh,
it's on the left. So it looks like a perfume bottle. So that's their top line, is their perfume. We call them perfume bottles. I don't think they call them that, but Gordon MacPhail has their also kind of higher end line. Now, this isn't their rare, like super rare line. There is a line that's even higher than this that's super expensive. But this is their Connoisseurs choice level of bottlings, which I've had a lot of these over the years, and I have to say I don't think I've ever had a bad one of these.
No,
so
I actually have a Longmorn and a Scapa.
Yeah, I mean,
Choice, so they are good.
I don't even know how many I've had, but they're all really good. So this one I had sent over because this was not a US available bottling. This is from Fettercairn. I have not been to Fettercairn yet. I do want to go. Actually, I have it on my list of places to go next year. And they're actually getting a lot of talk these days. I've actually seen Fettercairn quite a bit being talked about on social media and stuff. So they're definitely trying to get a new kind of thing going there. But let's talk a little bit about the distillery, then I'll talk about the bottle, and then we'll watch a video. But Fettercairn, it is a Highland. It's actually, if you're going off towards Aberdeen, so you're kind of going northeast of Edinburgh. It's actually not too far from Aberdeen. It's situated under the Grampian foothills in the Howe of Mearns. Fettercairn town's name is loosely based on the phrase "the foot of the mountain." They're owned by White and Mackay, which is a Philippines-based company. They also own quite a few. Shoot, now I'm blanking on the others, but I think Dalmore might be white Mackay. I don't remember. There's a few other white Mackays. Fettercairn was founded in 1824. So we're going back pretty far again with Fettercairn by Alexander Ramsay, owner of the Cask estate, who converted a corn mill at Nethermill into a distillery. After losing his fortune, he was forced to sell the estate to the Gladstone family. And the Gladstone son, William Gladstone, went on to become the prime minister and chancellor of the Exchequer, and was instrumental in passing various reforms on the taxation in whiskey. In 1887, a fire forced the distillery to close for some time. Let's see here. It was in 1973 when White and Mackay acquired Fettercairn. So they have a unique emblem or symbol. It's the arch and the unicorn are two symbols that are heavily associated with Fettercairn. The unicorn is said to stand for purity and strength and has been a symbol of Scotland since the reign of King Robert III. It is also used with the Ramsay clan crest, of which the founder Alexander Ramsay brought with him to the distillery. The Fettercairn arch dominates the entrance to the town and was built to commemorate a visit by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert in 1861. This symbol has also been used in the design and logo of the Fettercairn malts. Let's see here. All right, yeah, other stuff's not as important. All right, so this bottle that we're tasting is a 17-year Connoisseur's Choice from Gordon MacPhail. There were only 145 bottles of this. Oh, no, sorry. 299 bottles. 299 bottles. This is 58.4%, and it's matured in a refill American hogshead. So an ex-bourbon hogshead, second fill or more. So this should be really good, hopefully.
Yes.
No, it's crap. It's crap. Don't drink it, Charles. Let me taste it for you.
This is the kind of whiskey that's in my flavor profile, and I haven't tasted it yet.
Yeah, it's like, ooh. I can sit here all night for that. Like everything about it.
Oh, yeah. Lots of citrus, lemon,
Yeah.
tropical. Oh, that's beautiful.
With nothing overpowering.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the balance is great.
Oh.
Not too cold.
All right, let's watch a video on Fettercairn.
It's my favorite so far.
He wasn't wrong. She said,
welcome to the latest installment in the House of the Cairns Distillery in Cyprus series. I'm Andrew Lenny, global specialist here at Fettercairn Distillery. We're situated on the east coast of the Highlands, and the name Fettercairn literally translates as the foot of the mountain. So we're at the foothills of the Cairn. Our history dates back to 1824. We were actually the second legally licensed. 2024 marks our bicentenary year. Fettercairn is a special place. We're in a part of the world known as the Garden of Scotland. So this location has really sparked the imagination of whiskey makers over the last 200 years and will continue to shape what we do in the future. My favourite place to have a dram is probably within the warehouses here. It's just something special in the walls of the warehouses at Fettercairn. Of course, it's important to do that with the right people. Getting a chance to share a glass with colleagues, friends, always important. It's more than just a liquid in a glass. It's celebrations. It brings people together. And in a way, it sort of captures history in a glass.
You can see the unicorn there. It is a very nice logo, I have to say. I've got to look up the other white Mackay. I'm really like struggling with not knowing that.
Is Fettercairn doing a single malt or are they more of a
Yeah, it's all single
all
malt.
single malt? So that's what we're.
Okay, they operate 5 distilleries in Scotland. Yeah, Dalmore, I was right with that. Jura, that was the one I was like, I knew it, but I just wasn't sure. Invergordon and Tamnavulin. So some pretty great distilleries. I mean, Jura doesn't get much love, unfortunately, but Dalmore is known all over the world. So Fettercairn is in that group of 5 distilleries, which is a pretty good group to be in, I have to say. Invergordon's great. And Tamnavulin's that one that nobody knows, but it's really good, and you see independent bottlings from there, but not many people know of it. All right, so where does the Fettercairn rank compared to like the Edradour?
I think it's better. I think it's
Better?
Yeah, I think it's better.
Oh wow, a couple people say it's number 1.
Oh, yeah. Slight edge of the Edradour, but it's very close.
Very close, huh? Wow, that's good. Good to hear. Again, connoisseur's choice. Gordon MacPhail. Hard to go wrong with them.
Can't fail with Gordon.
No, you can't fail with Gordon MacPhail.
That sounds like a political. No, where are they at Scotland?
They're up in Elgin, way up north.
But they're an independent bottler.
Yeah.
Do they own distilleries like?
They're the oldest independent bottler. So they have some of the oldest stock. They actually have bottlings now that are coming out that are 70 years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they bought stuff from blah 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 or whatever.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And then they just have it. And
They have their own warehouse. They buy their own new make spirit, so whiskey that hasn't been matured yet, and they mature it themselves.
Okay, who do they buy it from?
Well, whatever distillery, and they have to put that distillery's name on, their bottlings. So this Fettercairn, it's possible that they bought this new make,
That's awesome.
and they matured it themselves.
Do you think a Fettercairn ever buys a Gordon MacPhail and is like, that's awesome?
Oh, for sure.
Do that?
Yeah, no, I
They can't
mean,
even do that.
so distilleries occasionally, I'm sure, do taste their spirit under independent ballers, and I'm sure they're like, wow, we need to do that too. I mean,
I'm sure they do.
that makes sense. So for an example, here in the US, we had that happen just a couple of years ago. Lost Lantern bottled an expression from Balcones, which is a Texas distillery, and Lost Lantern released it as a single cask, and that single cask won best single malt, American single malt of the year.
Really?
It was the Lost Lantern version. It was what they bought.
Oh my god.
So, obviously the distillery is looking at that and they're like, shit, why did we sell them that cask? We should we should have bottled that cask, or whatever. But no, that happens. It does happen but the biggest thing is independent bottlers will make your distillery known.
Yeah.
Like if we weren't drinking this, we probably wouldn't be buying a Fettercairn 12-year-old or whatever it is,
You've never heard of it, but you've heard of this.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon MacPhail, it's probably going to be good,
I
So,
went there just because
this wasn't a cheap
it's
bottle.
great. And
I have my price.
Yeah. Have a bottle. No, we've had them both.
$200
Well, they're expressions
bottle.
that I haven't had a bad night. Not a bad night.
That one's really good. Yeah.
You said it was 58.4, Charles?
I've gotten malt whiskey's the same, for the same reason.
8.4. So they say notes of lemon peel aromas give way to ripe tropical fruit and malted biscuit, sweet lime, and mango flavors are balanced by cracked black pepper, a vibrant and fruity, medium-bodied finish.
You know, I didn't taste any of that stuff.
Good stuff.
Like it, don't like it.
Yeah. By the way, the other goalie's really good, and he's freaking Man City's ex. So they're both freaking good.
Scottish Colton, yeah, I'm from the Scottish. You can run your lawnmower on with that, for sure.
Okay. Everybody good?
Oh yeah, that's very great. Yeah, it's great. We need Scotland to score, so we can all just start throwing stuff up in the air.
Yeah.
We probably won't throw water in here.
We need to come. Is Johnny Walker online? Probably not.
It's almost over.
Yeah, it is over.
It's over.
I think holding the 3-0. I think Scotland are through. Yeah, I think they're on to the next round.
Yeah, Scotland is gonna go through on the.
They're okay.
They'll make it through the third place teams will make it through. A lot of them, like 8 out of 12.
No, I know.
8 out of
12.
All right, game over.
Or is it 3 points? 3 points.
Hopefully Scotland still makes it through. We're
They should.
hoping as a third place team, they're one of the qualifiers.
Teams.
All right, we're going to move on. So we're going back to kind of a Dumbarton world with this next whiskey. Girvan, also located in the lowlands. Girvan is a another one of those grain distilleries. So Dumbarton actually was mothballed or closed. Girvan is still operational. I'll read a little bit about them. We'll talk about the whiskey and then we'll watch a video. All right, Girvan is a grain whiskey distillery located in South Ayrshire, Scotland. It's owned by William Grant and Sons.
Okay.
It's one of the largest facilities in Scotland in which whiskey is made. Again, you need grain whiskey to make your blends. Johnny Walker, all of these big blends, you have to have grain whiskey to make those. The distillery is named after the town of Girvan. It's known as one of the most energy efficient distilleries in Scotland. It was built in 1963 with the installation of its first coffee still in 1963, which was celebrated with their first official bottling. The reason for William Grant and Sons building the distillery was because of a quarrel between the Grant family and the Distillers Company Limited, DCL. Under the close eye of Charles Grant Gordon, the Girvan distillery was built and producing alcohol within 9 months of groundbreak.
Wow.
Girvan contributes for Grant's and Clan MacGregor blended whiskey. So those are pretty big blends. Not very good tasting whiskey, but they're very popular, especially, well, both of them are pretty big. Grant's is a pretty big blend in Scotland. The company introduced its export single grain whiskey, which was called Black Barrel, in 1985 to Portugal, Spain, and Italy. And so that became a big thing in those countries. Ladyburn Distillery operated as a single malt distillery on the site from 1965 until 1975. So same kind of thing like Inverleven that we heard about with Dumbarton. Same thing with Ladyburn. They were making malt whiskey for Grants for their blends. So Girvan was making the grain whiskey. Ladyburn was making the malt whiskey, and that was going into Grants. But they closed that in 1975 and demolished that in 1976. So now it's just Girvan. The distillery makes Hendrick's gin.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Anybody heard of Hendrick's?
Every time I heard of it, I can't remember.
Yeah. So that's probably what they're most known for is Hendrick's gin. But we're tasting tonight another independent baller. This is Douglas Laing, which is another. So we've had tonight we've had, Infrequent Flyers is a newer independent baller. Gordon MacPhail is the oldest. Douglas Laing has been around for a good while. They're one of the older. They're actually go back to 1948. So they're not as old as Gordon MacPhail, but they're still an older independent baller. So they got this cask of single grain Scotch that is 282 bottles. It's also in a refill hogshead, so similar to what we had in the last whiskey in terms of cask. It was distilled in 2002, bottled in 2022. So this is a 20-year-old single grain in a refill hogshead. I have not tasted this. This is 51.5%. So on the lower side, it's not a super high ABV bottling.
It's good.
Yeah, it's like good, but
I wouldn't throw it out. No.
So we've kind of jumped around with flavors. Just let's think about the flavors that we've had tonight. So single grain to start with PX. So we had that sweet corn with sherry. Then we went to Madeira with a younger, lighter whiskey. Then we went to a white wine dessert cask, Moscatel with Edradour. Then we went to a refill hogshead single malt, which was delicious and older. And now we're going back to that corn kind of base with a lighter cask influence. So you're definitely tasting more of the spirit. With the first one, the Dumbarton, it was, I think, there, but we were tasting more of the PX. That kind of came through, which was beautiful. I think it balanced really well. Maybe this one, the spirit's a little bit spirit forward. You're tasting more of that corn on this one than you are the oak, which is possible.
That's the thing though.
It's just far too sweet for me.
Hogshead, but the whiskey that you're getting, because it's not the grain,
Right.
It's far better.
It
really comes out.
Yeah. So when you think about single malt barley in particular, barley is not full of flavor.
Right.
It's a canvas. It's a blank canvas, and you're adding oak and wood to that canvas, and you're painting a picture. Whereas with grain whiskey, you're already starting with a picture, and you're adding something else to it. It's already got a lot of that flavor. All right, let's watch a little bit of the video on Girvan. This one actually kind of shows some old when it was starting back in 1963. And I think it's one of the original people.
It's not black and white.
No, but I think there might be some black and white.
Harold Gordon's watchword was quality, spirit quality, each and every time.
It made sense to come to Girvan, which had first and foremost an abundant supply of the right kind of water to make whiskey.
Now, back in 1963, he negotiated with the local council a 30-year water deal, and that was for 1 old penny per 1,000 gallons of water supplied. It was 240 pennies in the pound. I was a chemist by training, and I had a passion for natural products. And I thought, what a wonderful industry to work in. Constant innovation, constant development here. And the first casks were actually bourbon casks that were filled with grain whiskey spirit. I think everybody was so excited at the time. It was really a major first for Girvan.
It's precious.
And I go back to the passion and the dedication and the drive that's involved in terms of innovation. Charles helped to build that culture without a shadow of a doubt.
Thank you.
And successive family members have made sure that that's intrinsic to how we work and how we think. You're looking at a whiskey which is very complex in nature, full of flavour, full of aroma, an absolute treat to drink. I think it represents the character of Girvan, actually, and the distillery, that passion, the dedication, and the quality that the successive generations of people who have worked here have delivered.
Okay. All right. So Girvan is not like a glamorous distillery by any means. It's a workhorse. You know, it's a large grain distillery. It's making grain whiskey for blends. It's great that we get to try it in a independent bottling. You're not going to go out and buy a Girvan 10-year-old or 20-year-old whiskey unless it's an independent bottler. So, you know, we're going through the alphabet. We did Dumbarton, which was a closed grain distillery. Now we're doing Girvan, which is a still operational powerhouse distillery. We've actually done quite a few grain distilleries on this journey so far. And, you know, some of them you can't get whiskey from anymore. It's really hard. They're closed and it's just either they're too rare or too expensive to include. But I've had some really good Girvan. So again, if you're looking at a grain whiskey, and with this tasting, I couldn't afford another really old grain whiskey. I mean, the Dumbarton was a closed distillery, 26 year. That was not cheap. I couldn't add another 30+ year Girvan, but I have had some older Girvans and Cambus and some of these other single grain distilleries, and it's absolutely beautiful whiskey. So this one's a little lighter. Actually, it's a little young for a grain whiskey, 20 years, which sounds crazy, but it kind of tastes a little young for a grain whiskey. And again, I think some of that refill hogshead has something to do with that too. You know, it's very grain forward. And you have to be ready for a sweeter drink. This is a sweeter whiskey, you know, in general. Oh, let me read the notes because the notes were interesting. Nose is round, rich, and initially full of syrup, ahead of a truly sweet cereal-based character. Palate, catch candy floss. Catch candy floss. White and demerara sugars with a later strong vanilla toffee flavor. I mean, they're talking sweet, sweet, and sweet. Finish, barley, sugar flavors apparent, beyond which gristy cereals and spices appear. All right, so there's your Girvan. Okay, we're gonna wrap up. We kind of went fast here at the end. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm trying to understand. What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, let's talk about Glasgow Distillery. So Girvan and Glasgow. So we went from GI to GL pretty quick. But once we get to GLE, we're going to be in GLE for the rest of the year. I have a feeling. We'll just start making up Glens. Just come up with a new Glen. Just Glen this and Glen that. You know, Glen.
And Glen Campbell.
Glen.
A Glen and a Glen. Right?
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Glasgow Distillery. Some of you have heard of Glasgow Distillery. I think a lot of you might not have. This is peated, so not one of Dennis's favorites. I'm sure Steve's going to drink this dram.
Oh my God, why did you do that? The ball wasn't.
I'm kind of glad, like, so I had an option of doing unpeated or peated with them, and since we didn't do any peated throughout this journey, I was like, all right, we should end with a peated dram. Made sense. All right, so Glasgow Distillery is a Scotch whiskey, gin, and rum distillery in Glasgow.
What?
They make rum. In 2020, the distillery was named Distillery of the Year at the Scottish Whisky Awards. Glasgow Distillery was the first active distillery in Greater Glasgow since 1902. Clydeside later began production in the city in 2017. So Glasgow Distillery was around before them. The distillery is located in West Glasgow. Let's see here. It was founded in 2012. Production commenced in 2015. So Clydeside started in 2017. So Glasgow Distillery was earlier. And then in 2020, it received a £5.5 million loan to expand. They built a laboratory for experimenting with new make spirit and different types of wood. The distilleries, the stills are named after sisters Frances and Margaret MacDonald, who were both Scottish artists and part of the Glasgow Girls, a group of female designers and artists associated with the Glasgow School. The stills have the capacity to produce 440,000 liters a year, which is actually not bad for a distillery inside of a big city. Now this is really cool. They offer joint tours with Tennent's Brewery. So if you've heard of Tennent's is like these Scottish brew that in Boston they ran out of last week or the week before. They did get more. They were able to get some from New Hampshire and some other places. But Tennent's is a fan favorite in Scotland when it comes to just a clean lager. So you can do a joint tour with Glasgow Distillery and Tennent's Brewery. Now that sounds like a great day. They produce a lowland style single malt using water from Loch Katrine, which is supposedly the best drinking water, which supplies all of Glasgow of water you drink out of the tap, and it's really, really beautiful. Their first single malt was released in 2018. The core bottlings from the distillery are named 1770 Glasgow single malt, which is what we're having tonight. This is 1770 Glasgow single malt, which is in reference to Glasgow's first distillery, which was built in 1770, which is now defunct, which was in Dundas Hill. They also make a gin and a rum and da. So we are doing this bottling is their, and I had this one sent over. This is not available in the United States. This is their cask strength peated, matured in virgin oak and finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry casks. There were only 1,000 bottles of this. It's batch number 3. This is 61% ABV.
I taste glue.
Hi. You taste glue? Oh my God.
That's what this tastes like.
As a kid,
Yeah.
you know,
It smelled like it, it tastes like it, it tasted good.
this is it. You know,
I have not had this, and I'm hearing all these random comments right now.
Now you're gonna be like, almond glue. You got like pica, like with your, your wife's pregnant, and she's chilling on freaking sand.
Oh, what are you talking about? This is pretty good. I like it.
I think
All right.
okay. Yeah.
I think it's pretty solid. All right, so we're gonna watch a quick video on this distillery.
No.
We got to get past the commercial here. So this video actually is pertaining to the whiskey we're drinking, actually.
That's my honeymoon. Yeah, it's my honeymoon. It's not. Yeah. That doesn't look like.
What you're looking at right there is Loch Katrine. Loch Katrine, this is where all the water comes from that feeds Glasgow.
And that's why it tastes so good. There's all kinds of sunscreen.
The heck, where's my mouse? There it is. No, that's a commercial.
What you were looking for, there's a Hilton for you. Book online now.
Skip.
Gonna say. That did look like Scotland. Katrine.
That's the peat.
Yes.
They're packing up their equipment. I think it's done.
All right, there you go.
What's funny is they're showing them smoking the barrel, but don't they smoke the grain to
Yes.
make the peat? They don't smoke the barrel.
No, they're just trying to be dramatic.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, the barrel.
But if you didn't do nothing, they'd be like creative license.
Actually,
that's why it tastes like smoke. They smoke the barrel.
all right. I know there's some people aren't peat fans, but I think this is really freaking good.
It's not bad. It's growing on me. I'm not a peat fan.
I like it. It's like a barbecue. It's not salty. There's no like medicinal notes. This is more of a Highland peat with fatty, barbecuey.
I agree. The heavy barbecue taste came through.
Yeah, it's very meaty. I feel like we had dessert before dinner.
Yeah,
with the last two.
I mean, this one, this is like burnt ends. This is.
I would good call.
I like this. I think it's pretty good.
It's growing on me. That first taste.
I mean, you talked about glue and all this stuff. Like,
that was the first step.
what the heck?
No glue.
Maybe my glue is your meaty. I get like a pasty type on my.
I can't help if you got a sniffing glue problem.
I eat glue.
You eat glue. Oh, great.
Elmer's glue.
Dennis did not completely turn up its nose to it, which is a glowing endorsement.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like an
Yeah. I think there's still hope with Dennis a little bit. You know. Yeah.
I just always wondered, like, Dennis.
He needs more time in the Smoky land.
Like food.
He does, Steve. I know he does.
Another trip to Isla.
Yeah.
White fish or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm asking like.
All right, so we're going to go around the room. We're going to talk about our top two tonight, not top three. We'll just stick to two.
Okay.
All right, let's do online first. All right, how about you guys,
What is it?
Dennis and Steve? What are you thinking?
Never had that. It's Irish.
Top two.
Okay.
Fettercairn followed followed closely by Glasgow.
It's a gorgeous.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Okay. Dennis, I mean, I know Glasgow is number one, but what was
Sexy.
number two?
The Fettercairn and the Edradour.
Okay.
What was your favorite?
All right, what about you, Luke?
I like.
Alan and Daniel, why don't you go
They
ahead?
can go ahead. They were ready.
I like the Fettercairn, and then I like the Dunbar, which you
Nice.
sent me a bottle of the I think it was 30-year-old
Yes.
Dunbar or
Yes.
31.
The Octave.
Very different because it's not the PX cask.
Okay, right. Yep.
Very different.
But
Very nice.
For me, it was the Fettercairn and the Glasgow.
Okay, nice. Glasgow is getting some love. I like it. Nice.
My top was actually Edradour, but
Okay.
I liked the Fettercairn close second.
Okay. All right. So yeah, all right, let's go down the road here. Stefan, what are you thinking?
Number 1, Edradour. Number 2 is a close tie between Gordon MacPhail and Dumbarton.
Okay. We have an Edradour 1 and then a tie basically between Fettercairn and Dumbarton.
Yeah.
All right, Jim?
I'm just Fettercairn and Dumbarton.
Fettercairn and Dumbarton. All right. What about you, Joe?
Everybody.
Fettercairn and Edradour. One thing I would say is that Eden Mill rather, is something to watch.
Okay, Fettercairn and Edradour, but Eden Mill is one to watch.
For me, it was Edradour and Fettercairn.
Edradour for Vinny and Fettercairn a close second.
I'm going Fettercairn and actually.
Let's go.
Well, it wasn't Fettercairn, it was a Dumbarton.
Everybody
Fettercairn
says
and
that.
Eden. What?
I like
The glue man. Wow. He
There's
must
always
have
one kid on the bus eating glue.
They're glued together.
you know, when he came in the shop, he pulled out this orange piece of plastic. And I don't know. I was thinking Elmer, but I wasn't sure. All right, Gil, what do you think?
Yes. Are we muted?
Karen and Edradour. All right, there we go.
We should have an orange.
I like them all. I love the Glasgow. I thought it was great. All right, so there we go. Another Scotland A to Z tasting. This was part 10. They're always a fun journey. You don't know what you're gonna get. We have to kind of just go through them, and we try new whiskey, and that's really what the club is all about. Try new stuff, whether it works or not. We've had some fails. We have had some fails, but that's just part of it. That's just part of it. And yeah, so I'm gonna stop the recording. I hope you guys had a good time online tonight, and I will see you all in the near future. And Slán Java. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Charles.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.